Today is the 13th day of June 2020. And for the first time in my life, I've watched an elected dictator dictate to the destruction of the economics in this country. The gynecologist turned prime minister. We have already had what I call an elected dictatorship in the way and the power that the prime minister in this country have. But for the first time in modern Bahamas, we have an elected dictatorship, and the gynecologist turned prime minister and think he got all the answers. When everybody sits at the table, only his ma breathed common sense into him. And I noted that all the people that's in the authority, that's on television, tell us to stay home. Watch this. Neither one of them has stayed home. They could go to the shop. They could go ride on the beach with their families. They have never stayed home in 2 months. The prime minister closed all the barber shop down. He's tipping his barber $100. He's getting his hair cut every week when the barber shop is being closed almost 3 months. Shouldn't a government, a prime minister, live by example? Isn't that the way it ought to be in any civilized, sensible community? Any real caring minister, prime minister would lead by example. They send everybody home, destroyed businesses forever, will never rebound. Some people go in foreclosure, bankruptcy, because of the ill advice by the incompetent authority. I watched the budget debate, trying to listen intensely to see what is on there for North Abaco after Category 5 hurricane, 9 months in. All I saw was a bunch of nothing. No direct interjection, monetary funds from this government direct into North Abaco, Central Abaco, after Category 5, to rebuild, to restore, to make sure that there's a hurricane shelter available. This should have happened 9 months ago. But this week, in the budget debate, there's nothing about a hurricane shelter. There's nothing about repairing any hurricane shelter. What's going to happen if, in fact, a hurricane comes and this uncaring government just unveil a national budget 2021 and Abaco was totally excluded? I noted while everybody was sent home, we have over 20,000 civil servants. Out of the 20,000 civil servants, 3,000 to 4,000 of them were working. The other 17,000 was getting paid every month out the public purse, and we have to pay for it. How could this country grow like that? How am I were told to stay in, don't go to work, and these persons not even working, and they're getting paid by me? The government, the people. I noted clearly how this Bahamas is being destroyed every time a party we win election. I saw they appointed judges that is up for retirement age, and this FNM government give them a judgeship. That is so wrong for a country. You recognize that the reason I say it's wrong? Because these persons are getting a pension as a judge and still working. And when they retire, they're going to get an additional pension. Almost half of the budget is going to pensioners. That is double dipping, in some incident, triple dipping. They are getting pension from the government. They came back and started to work again for the government. While they're working, they're getting pension. There has to be some law enacted to say, if you are getting pension, you ought not be working. What does it mean in this country to be getting pension? In most countries, civilized, decent, respectable, ungreedy country, when you are retired, you're getting pension. You ought not be getting pension and working towards getting another pension. It is not helping a country. Those of you that have kids abroad, encourage them to stay abroad. There's no room for them to excel in this country because of the greed of the pensioners. Don't you think there is some brilliant minds out there, young people that are not ready to retire? The Bible says every generation is wiser. They're a little weaker, but they're wiser. So they know the job, but they're not being allowed because the older people has retired and retired and retired and won't retire. How could the young people move to the top? Why would your kids want to come back to this country? Why would my child want to come back to this country if the government acted this way, given all of the country assets to one set of people? It's not only the government, We as a people, when last have you had anybody in this country that speaks and think, what can I do for this country? Not what I can do for self. When these persons that know that they are up for retirement, when the government came to them and said, I want to make you a judge, if they were of a right thinking mind and thought about country and the youths of this country and the building and rebuilding of this Bahamas, the decent thing to say, not the selfish, greedy thing to say, I would like that position. You ought to say, well, I'm 65 tomorrow, the next day. Before I'm in the chair, I am out the chair because I'm up for retirement. No contractual agreement. That is greed. And I've already said greed of the intelligent people that has more than their grandchildren can spend is what killing this country. That is why people like Hubert Ingram, greedy brutes, that said that no prime minister should be in this country more than 2 times, came back the third time and wanted to come back the fourth time because they believe that their mother is the only person that God breathed sense into. Only them one could run this country called the Bahamas land. And ask yourself, what grade or generation that they have excelled to take over this country, to make it a better place because of their longevity. They've hurt the minds, the morale, the brains, the uplifting of a country. They've all destroyed us almost to junk status, brought nothing new. How could somebody of 65 years old, we got arthritis and all the other ailments, could be sharp on their job? After 65 years of toiling, when are they going to rest their brains and allow some young, fresh blood into the system? Why are they killing young people? Why are they killing this country? The answer is greed, ultimate greed. That is why 20,000 civil servants could be paid every month, and only 3,000 is working, but they got a salary every month, and they're telling us to go home and stay home and collect nothing for 2.5 months. Greed, unacceptable greed, is destroying the most beautiful country in the Caribbean that God has placed in a spot of wealth. But our leaders, God has blessed the Bahamas and putting us in a spot of wealth. But our leaders and lack of leadership, the leadership and the greed of the leadership and the insight and no foresight of the leadership is what has destroyed and is destroying this country. I pray to God that we found and find some leadership that thinks about country, not self, because self-greed is destroying my Bahama land, Kai Case. God raise up such a leader.